Baby, udah tuh.
The HVAC unit, and then the duct work, to be replaced. They're waiting on some supplies to be able to do that. Right now, they have some temporary, plug-in, HVAC, and the construction company asked if we were able to use those. And we basically told them that, one, if they make any noise, some of our students have a cochlear implant, and that can really irritate, their hearing, or that buzzing in their ear can really interfere with them, as well as they won't meet code. So we're still waiting to open up the door. We, have evaluated all the technology, the equipment, the projectors, the laptop. They are all working conditions, so we're very excited about that. And we are going in, we have to go into each room and see what curriculum, materials, if there were any of those that were written, but that process is taking a little bit longer because we have to go through the book and everything. So, hopefully we will get that done as quickly as possible. And pretty much that's it for our celebration. The superintendent's report. Meeting, and that's sort of a team's meeting. It is with OSPM, and they are going to go over the governor's proposed budget, so that we know exactly what the governor has proposed for ENTSD. It definitely won't be end all be all, but at least it's, we'll know exactly what he's advocating for us for. And that will be Susan, Simone, and myself that will participate in that. So, and next, I will have Mandy provide an update on our policies, our school board policy.
The opportunity to update you all on how hard the policy review has been working. As a reminder, the legislation for HB 11 abolished the previous PSDD policy manual, and as a result, we had to build a complete policy framework from the ground up, and this has been a significant undertaking. We are building an entire policy system rather than refining an existing one, and this requires some prioritization to ensure that we can test critical areas first, while maintaining consistency across the entire structure. At the same time, that challenge is what makes this work so important and foundational for our long-term stability. So the policy review team was established to ensure that we have policies that are clear, consistent, and aligned with NCDI, as well as federal and state laws. Our goal is not only legal compliance, but also to ensure that our policies support clear governance and decision-making authority, student safety and staff expectations, operational consistency across all departments, compliance with state and federal requirements, and accessibility for all of our stakeholders. We are working to ensure that policies do not function in isolation, but instead work together as a cohesive system that guides daily decision-making in a clear and practical way. So the process is each policy is first reviewed by the policy review team. Then revisions are discussed and made as necessary. We then send our policy to the board attorney to ensure that we are compliant with applicable laws. And it is then presented to the board for approval. It goes through a first reading process and then is approved on the second reading process. Then our highest priorities are policies that directly impact safety, legal compliance, and daily operation. This includes student safety and reporting, staff conduct expectations, records management, and governance authority. Because this is a newly created policy system, implementation is just as important as writing the policies themselves. To support this, we've created the policy pulse page for staff, and that can be found on our intranet. This includes policy summaries, acknowledgement and awareness activities, recorded ASL video translations by our interpreting team, and they interpret the policy points, and in-person training with hands-on activities when appropriate. The administrative team recognizes that for these policies to become a part of daily practice, rather than just another document, staff must fully understand them to support them. Policies are organized into 3 tiers. The policy calls awareness, which is on the internet, including summaries, key points, ASL translations, and an acknowledgement activity that HR does complete. Department-led training, and these are for policies that department leaders will be training you on, and in-person training for more significant policies, like the group of Title IX policies that we just passed recently, where staff will be participating in training, so hands-on learning. Building our policy system from the ground up is a lengthy process and will take time to fully complete. Our goal is to bring approximately 15 to 20 policies to the board each month for first reading. And we began with a working list of approximately 335 policies. And we compiled that from multiple school systems in the area to determine a foundation. Approximately 33% of those policies have already been written. 44 policies are scheduled for review by the policy review team in the next 2 weeks. 35 are currently under board review, with 21 hopefully being passed today. And at this time, we have 30 policies that have been fully approved by the board. So in closing, we are building the governance foundation for NCA from the ground up. And we're doing it in a structured, intentional, and legally aligned way, even though it takes a really long time. Your patience is appreciated while we work our way through that. If you guys ever have any comments or questions about policies, we do obviously always have open doors. You can see myself, Cheryl, or Simone with any questions that you might have about policy.
Thank you, Mandy. And in regards to policies, if we do not have an NCSP policy, we refer back to GPI if it's an academic, DOA, or OSPN. And so, moving on to HR, we are excited. We have some interviews next week. We have several positions, there's 4 positions that we're required to have as a state agency by legislation. So one of those is the internal auditor, and we are in the process of getting some interviews scheduled. We have 4 applicants that appear very qualified. So hopefully we will get them scheduled and find a perfect candidate. We also have our CPC, which is our capital projects coordinator. And right now we have either the construction company that is working in that role. But it's a very expensive contract, so we're hoping to get an individual on staff so that one person's salary is a lot less than a whole company. We're also looking at scheduling our business service coordinator next week, and those have been scheduled. So we'll be interviewing candidates next week. We've had a lot of candidates that look very great on paper, so hopefully they will interview just as well. We also are excited to make a recommendation tonight for our HR consultant during closed session. So we will wait to announce that once it's final. We also have several positions that we've prioritized, and that is a school resource officer. So as soon as we're able to hire additional staff, we are looking to hire a school resource officer, as well as a guidance counselor, a preschool teacher, and those are the ones we're looking to replace immediately as soon as it's available for us. And at this time, I know we've talked a couple of times regarding our robotics program. And I know, we were all very disappointed when we weren't sure if our teams were going to get to travel to Colorado for the National Robotics Competition for the deaf and hard of hearing. So I know we were excited when the teams were raising funds and we found some additional funds. So tonight I would just ask the board to do a final approval of the overnight trip for that competition.
So I am happy to see that, the school is going to participate in that trip. I'm making a motion to approve the trip to Colorado for the ride competition. I move that we approve that, we wish them very well for it. Do I have a second? Dr. Boyd, second. So, all in favor? Aye. So this motion is carried, and you who are participating will be headed to Colorado. Thank you for your work. Thank you, Dr.
Okay, and my report is actually a little bit shorter than it normally is, just because we were on spring break, so last week, but this was a little bit quicker of a turnaround. But I'm sure I'll have a lot to report next month, because it's a busy month.
We normally do an open comment section here. Let's just sign up. We will refer any action on that today. We move on to our legal counsel on the board policy review, second reading. These are the policy manual file that's been reviewed by committee. It comes to the board for approval after our review. Do I have a motion to approve? Second
Next one is our board meeting agenda, and that is 2330. And this is a policy that establishes our expectations to the development of content and use of board meeting agendas to support effective governance, transparency, and lawful decision-making at the NCSD. The policy also ensures that board meetings are organized, accessible, and compliant with open meetings and the process requirements. The pregnant and parent students and employees policy, and this one is proposed to establish protections and supports for both students and employees who are pregnant, experiencing related conditions or parenting. The policy ensures a safe, inclusive, and non-discriminatory environment that affirms pregnancy or parenting status shall not be limited access for educational programs, residential life, employment opportunities, or school services. This one's a little bit easier because I don't have to write one. That says we'll come on airplane. Before too many months are gone. So equal educational opportunities, and this policy affirms the NCSD's commitment to providing all students with equal access to educational programs, services, and activities in a safe, inclusive, and accessible environment. The policy ensures that no student is excluded from participation in, denied benefits of, or subjected to discrimination in an educational program or activity. Use of unmanned aircraft is the next one. This refers to drones. And this one is establishes guidelines for the use of unmanned aircraft system on or above the NCSD property and at school-sponsored activities. The policy is designed to protect student safety, privacy, and school operations while recognizing the residential school environment. And the school does have our own drone, so we will definitely be following that as well. And the next one is our weapons, bomb threats, terrorist threats, and clear threats to safety. And this is 4333. And the proposed policy for this one establishes clear prohibitions and response procedures related to weapons, bomb threats, terrorist threats, and other serious threats to safety at the NCSD. The policy is also designed to protect students, staff, and visitors while ensuring a safe and secure environment across both instructional and residential settings. Duties of officers, and this is 2310. And this is the proposed policy here establishes the roles, responsibilities, and expectations for officers of the NCSD Board of Trustees. The policy is designed to support effective governance, orderly conduct with board trustees and business, and compliance with law, regulation, and board policies. The next one is compliance with the open meeting law. And the proposed policy here establishes requirements and procedures to ensure that the NCSD Board of Trustees meetings are conducted in compliance with the North Carolina open meeting law. The policy promotes transparency, accountability, and public access to the decision-making process, as well as ensuring accessibility of material. Board of Trustees members with meeting agendas and supporting materials in advance of board meetings. The policy supports informed decision-making, effective governance, and efficient use of meeting time while ensuring accessibility for all participants. The last one is administration and policy actions. The proposed policy establishes guidance for situations in which no existing NCSD board policy or administrative regulation addresses a specific administrative decision or action. The policy ensures that school operations continue in a responsible, consistent, and compliant manner while maintaining alignment with the mission of the NCSD.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. There are roughly 15 policies here. We're working with the committee and that knowledge in the next meeting. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if there are no further discussions about this first reading, I move that the NCSD Board of Trustees go into closed session to consider personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11 A6 and 115C-321. And to consult with the Board of Education attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11 A3. Thank you, Gary. So, all in favor of the second for the session, we have a second. Okay. So, the moving second is going to close section. All in favor, say aye. Just for the audience, now we actually go into closed section where we discuss issues about personal and legal in the closed session process. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we're going to end up closed section in smaller comments.